Quick question for you. Do you actually know how porous your hair is? If you're not sure, or you've tried that floating hair in a water glass test and felt a little confused, you're in the right place. Today I'm breaking down what hair porosity really is, why it matters to your routine, and how you can easily figure out your hair porosity at home. So make yourself comfy, grab a tea, and let's get into it. Hair porosity describes how easily your hair can absorb products and moisture and also retain it. It all comes down to the outer layer of your hair called the cuticle. Your hair porosity is partly genetic, meaning that you naturally have high, low or medium hair porosity. But it can also change over time, especially through things like mechanical stress, brushing, blow drying, straightening and all that stuff. Chemical processes like bleaching, coloring, perming of your hair. Additionally, UV radiation, salt water, chlorine, and also by product buildup and improper care. So at the end, the more open or damaged the outer layer, the cuticle is, the higher your hair porosity. Because it determines how easily moisture and products can enter your hair and how easy they leave again. If your hair is highly porous, it absorbs moisture and products very fast, but loses it just as quickly. Low porosity hair resists moisture and product absorption, but once it's in, it holds them really well. Knowing your hair porosity will allow you to pick the right care products for your hair and also adapt your routine accordingly. There are a few ways to check your hair porosity at home. Some are useful, others not so much. Here are the best ones in my opinion. The first one is the feel test. That's pretty easy. You just take a strand of hair, not too much hair, and then you run it through your fingertips from tip to root. If it runs really smooth and even, you probably have a low porosity. If it feels slightly rough, it might be that you have a medium porosity hair. If it's very rough and if it feels very rough and uneven, you probably have a high porosity hair. The second test that I would recommend is the water absorption in the shower. How long does it take for your hair to get fully wet? If that goes instantly, you probably have high porosity hair. If it goes really slowly and you need a lot of time to get your hair wet, you probably have a low porosity. But of course, this is also influenced by hair density in general. Of course, it takes longer if you have more hair to get wet. The third test that I recommend is the air drying test. For this one, you need to observe how long it takes for your hair after washing to air dry completely. If it dries very quickly, you probably have high porosity hair. If it takes really long to dry completely, you probably have low porosity hair. The fourth test that I would recommend is the spray test. For this one, you grab a spray bottle filled with water and just spray it on a strand of your freshly washed but dried hair. If the sprayed water beads up, you probably have low porosity. If your hair slowly absorbs the sprayed water, you probably have medium porosity hair. And if it instantly absorbs the water, you probably have a high porosity hair. The spray test works very well if you have virgin hair, meaning that you don't use any products that contain sulfates or surfactants like silicones or PEGs, because that will of course lead to rejection of the water. And in this case, you may observe that the sprayed water will bead up because of the silicone barrier, but you may actually have high porosity hair. This leads us to the fifth test, which I wouldn't recommend, but it's commonly known and advertised, which is the floating test. That's the famous hair strand in a glass of water test. And here's the truth about that, it's not really reliable. Why is that? Because there's a lot of factors that can influence the behavior of your hair strand in a glass of water, which can be oil on your hair, product residues, silicones and PEGs, surfactants, as I mentioned before, air bubbles that form when you insert your hair strand into the glass of water. And even the thickness of each individual hair can have an influence on that test, because it influences whether your hair floats or sinks, because thicker hair sinks faster, of course. So likelihood is very high that with this test you will have unreliable results, which are completely unrelated to your hair porosity. At best, it's a fun extra if you like to cut a strand of your hair, but the other tests are much more accurate. And what I would also recommend is that you don't just only do one test, but all of the 4 tests that I recommended, and note your observations, and then you will have a clearer indication of what hair porosity you actually have. If you make sure that you don't have any oils or using surfactants in your hair care products, which I wouldn't recommend anyways. So what does that mean now for your hair care routine? Let me give you some tiny tips for now. If the 4 tests showed a high indication of low porosity hair, then you should use very lightweight and water-based products. And avoid every heavy oils and butters. So no shea butter, definitely no coconut oil or olive oil for low porosity hair. For low porosity hair, it's difficult for products to enter your hair, so you can make use of warmth and steam to open the cuticle of your hair and make it easier for your used products to enter your hair. Medium porosity usually gets along with most products, and usually a balanced mix of protein and moisture works best. You can also try what works best for you. I have medium porosity hair and I strongly avoid any shea butter, coconut oil and all this heavy stuff. High porosity hair is quite common for the type 3 and type 4 hair types after the system of Andrew Walker. I link it somewhere here, where I explain the full hair typing system. High porosity hair needs very rich and nurturing and sealing products to lock the moisture in. Oils and butters are very suitable for this hair type, and this hair type strongly benefits from the use of shea butter, olive oil or coconut oil, just to name a few. Protein treatments can also help strengthen the cuticle, especially if you bleached or colored your hair and to keep it intact. Definitely limit any applied heat and mechanical stress on your hair. I hope this helped to clear up the mystery of hair porosity for you. If you've done the 4 tests and you'd like, please drop me a comment and let me know which hair porosity type you have or which test surprised you the most. And if you're into honest, cozy, no-nonsense hair care chats like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, please help me to spread the news and hit the like button or share it with friends where you think they could benefit from it. And once you've done that, I thank you for hanging out with me today. Take good care of yourself and your hair, and see you next time on Cosmetic Nerd.